takes his own life, it becomes a major tragedy. And there seemed to be no doubt that David Farrell had committed suicide.
What was his full name?
David Glenn Farrell. It's a ghastly thing. I just can't believe it. Even after I saw him, I still couldn't believe it.
I think I can fill in the rest, Lieutenant. I knew David very well. He started to work here 5 years ago as an ordinary accountant.
I recognized his talent, and just last year, I appointed him controller of the company. He had a brilliant mind for figures.
When did you see him last?
Last night, a little before 6.
Do you have any idea why David Farrell should want to commit suicide?
None whatsoever.
How about you, Counselor? You said you knew him well. Do you have any ideas?
No ideas. He had a good paying job and a chance of making it bigger and better after the merger.
I'd promised him that.
A nice home, 2 lovely children, a devoted wife. Does that add up to suicide, Lieutenant?
No, it doesn't sound like it. But in a suicide case, a person on the outside never knows.
Ellen, Mrs. Farrell, who will tell her?
That's usually a job for the police.
In this case, I'll do it. It won't be easy to soften the blow, but I'll try.
Well, I'll hold back the report till I check with the medical exam.
Well, shall we proceed with the audit?
Now, why not? If I know Farrell, you'll find the accounts are completely in order. I'll be back in a little while. Now, let's go, Lieutenant. I've got a tough job in my hands. Hello?
Herb, listen, I have the medical examiner's report right here in front of me. It sets the time of death at about 6 last night. Due to multiple contusions.
Yes, that checks out with the information we already have.
As far as I'm concerned, this just about wraps up the case. All I need is one more thing, a motive. A man doesn't commit suicide just because it's Tuesday. There has to be a reason.
Well, it'll be hard to find a reason for this one.
Herb, I understand they're running an audit on the company books. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, do me a favor, will you, Counselor, and let me know how it turns out?
All right, I will. The new evidence uncovered by Ellen Farrell strongly supported the dread suspicion that her husband David had chosen suicide to escape the consequences of his crimes. All that was missing was the auditor's confirmation of embezzlement.
What's all this about?
A missing link in the case against David Farrell, the motive. Gambling debt, infidelities, it's all there. Plus a few personal belongings he left in his desk. They were delivered to his wife.
To get to the point, Herb, you didn't track me down just to convince me of David Farrell's guilt.
Lieutenant, doesn't it strike you as curious that a man capable of embezzling funds to cover his debts would leave a desk full of incriminating evidence?
Wait a minute, Herb. We're talking about a man who jumped down an elevator shaft. And it's just possible he might have had too much on his mind to think about cleaning out his desk.
It seems to me that somebody was in an awful hurry to get these things to Mrs. Farrell.
I don't know. People have gone to resorts before under similar circumstances. What's so different about David Farrell?
Everything. I knew the man. For love or money, he couldn't have done any of the things that these items indicate. This is a deliberate attempt to discredit him.
Well, you think the person who put this evidence together might have been the same person who pushed David Farrell down the elevator shaft?
That's exactly what I think. And I also think that person was Gavin Bledsoe.
That's a strong accusation, Counselor, without adequate proof.
Look, how about this doodle? I saw Bledsoe do the same thing last night. I'd swear this was his work.
You can't base a murder charge on that, a doodle. Listen, I've got some checking to do. Why don't you get back to the office and find out about that audit?
Well, I'll be very much surprised if there isn't a deficit. This whole setup is just to cover up a shortage, or I'm going back to law school.
Herb, don't let your friendship for David or sympathy for his wife run away with you. At the moment, we don't even have anything that faintly resembles a case against anyone, including Gavin Bledsoe. Now, look, meet me back at the office in an hour. I'll see what I can find out.
All right.
Well, Counselor, I wouldn't say you look cheerful.
The audit showed a shortage of $200,000. What did you find out?
Oh, plenty. On the date specified, the airline company has no record of selling a ticket to David Farrell and his wife.
Good. What else?
David never checked into any one of the Crystal Sands hotels. And the girl in the picture is not named Betsy. Her name is June Larkin. The photographer's imprint led us to her, and she never heard of a man named David Farrell.
We're getting warmer, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Herb, some types of paper take fingerprints and some don't. Now, those accounting sheets sent to Mrs. Farrell were covered with prints, and not one of them belonged to David Farrell.
Which means he never handled the sheets.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Sergeant?
Answer to your all points inquiry on Bledsoe just came in.
Oh, thank you. Well, what do you know? Here, Bledsoe's president of a company where the comptroller's taken the rap. Just 12 years ago, there was another embezzlement with only one difference. The president took the rap and the jump.
Down the elevator shaft?
Mm-hmm. And guess who the comptroller was, Herb?
Gavin Bledsoe?
Right.
Got enough to make an arrest?
Maybe. It'd be kind of hard to prove that David was murdered.
Why not try a little psychology? A guilty conscience can make a man do some strange things.
Well, what if Bledsoe isn't guilty?
There's only one way to find that out. If we can make him think we're checking back on him, if he is the embezzler, he might panic and do something to give himself away.
Yeah. Sergeant.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Get me everything you can dig up on Gavin Bledsoe since the year one. Also on Extruded Metal Products and Ingot Steel Company of Indiana. I want that in a hurry and put a 24-hour watch on Gavin Bledsoe. Listen, Hunsacker checked the office till 10 o'clock. No sign of Bledsoe. He never came out.
Are you still watching it?
Waste of time, Herb. I had a man there all night. My guess is Bledsoe's many miles away from here this morning.
Well, I've got to go to Bledsoe's office to get a statement of the company condition. I'll see if Todd has any ideas.
Good. Call me if he has.
I sure will. Goodbye. Century Boulevard. I lost him at Wilton Drive.
Century Boulevard? What's he doing on Century? Listen, if he wanted to make a fast getaway, he'd head for the airport. That's in the opposite direction. Wait a minute, Herb. Train station. If he gets on one of those milk runs, we're in real trouble. I'm going to set a stakeout up at the airport, bus terminal, and train station. Also roadblocks on every highway leading out of town. I'll have you picked up with a squad car in exactly 2 minutes.
Right, Bledsoe. Hold it right there.
What's this all about? What for?
Embezzlement and murder.
What are you talking about?
You killed David Farrell. Later on, when there was no one around to hear the crash, you pushed him down the elevator shaft.
Don't be ridiculous. I'm telling you, David Farrell committed suicide.
Alex Todd didn't. He was alive when the police found him in your office. But the receiving hospital says he was dead on arrival.